You're alive.
What's up, everybody? It's G. Scott here. You know me from KIRO Nights from 7 to 10 p.m. every weeknight right here on 97.3 FM or KIRORadio.com. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. It's almost close to the weekend, so you guys make sure you're being safe out there, out and about. Even though the news isn't really as heavy as it's been over the last 2 weeks with the whole Brett Kavanaugh and all that thing, and now he's gotten confirmed, and now you're talking about 1 month away until it's time for midterms. So I hope you're registered to vote and get ready to vote. There's going to be all types of opportunities to vote, so make sure you get that done. It's going to be very important. So what's going to be happening over the United States, who knows? Is it going to be a blue wave or is it going to be a red wave? Well, I guess we'll find out about that. So, but right now, how about that hurricane? I mean, that hurricane right now is getting close to a level 5, and I mean, it always seems like when the experts, those that get paid to do it, and by the way, I couldn't do it, no doubt about it, but it just seems like whenever they're always talking about, oh, here comes a big one, and then for some reason, it's not as big as they say, and then you hear about the one Michael that's on its way, and then you hear about it's going crazy up the storm right now. So there's actually a guy at our office. His name is Michael Simeona. So that guy right there. So of course they would name it Michael. Maybe he has a mistress named Florence.
No.
He's a thing. Anyways,
newlywed, man. Show some respect.
Anyways, in the news, locally, I wanted to talk about congestion pricing. And I mean, I talked about it last night on the show on KIRO Nights, and folks were just like, I'm not coming to Seattle. My guy Michael Simeona says he's riding his bike. Everybody's like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing... Well, let me explain congestion pricing just in case you don't know. So, Uber is getting behind this. They're putting $10 million into this worldwide because everybody, Mayor Durkin is thinking and talking about it as well. Congestion pricing here is this. It would be the premise of you could not, in order to drive downtown Seattle, you would have to pay $15 basically during the hours of 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. They did this study in London back in 2003. They raised $15 billion, $1.6 billion in the first 10 years of doing this, and it was very successful over in London. And so these are some of the trends that they're thinking about here. With traffic the way it is, I totally understand. Back to my point. Michael said he's taking a bike. Somebody says, I'm not coming to Seattle. Everybody's making all these changes. That means that this congestion pricing would probably work in less than a week. I mean, it wouldn't take that long. And by the way, this mess downtown Seattle, driving in this, is crazy. And to think, in 2 years, they are saying hockey is going to be played. They're saying the arena is going to be ready in 2 years. So during that 2 years, what's going to be happening near Mercer? What's going to be happening at the old stadium? They're redoing it. It's going to be construction trucks. Traffic is going to get worse. The other day, I was leaving a Seahawks game when the Seahawks barely lost that game against the Rams, but I was leaving that game. It took me an hour and a half to get from Central League Field to a block away from Safeco Field. I'd have been better off walking. So, I know some people are upset about the possibility of that. I'm all for it. I'm all for congestion pricing. Hey, if you want to come and use these streets, you got to pay. And then I had the people that said, oh, well, what about the plumbers? And what about... I was a car detailer for a lot of years. And as a car detailer, if there was some type of fee that I had to pay for $15 to come into downtown Seattle, I would have a choice. The first choice would be, you know what? I'm not doing business in Seattle. That's one choice. Or the second choice would be, man, that $15 to pay would really suck, but that job, I would net this. So that $15 is really no big deal considering. Those are your choices right there. So I'm all for the congestion pricing. I would love for you to argue with me on that one. Next thing I want to talk about tonight on the show, Seahawks Legends happens again. Our guest, Sidney Rice, former Seattle Seahawk and Super Bowl 48 champion. He's going to be on the show, and man, what he talks about tonight is going to be pretty It's really cool. It's fascinating, actually. He talks about when he retired from the game of football, and he talks about why and how he was miserable and sad during that time and what he did. Find out what Sidney Rice does to get out of that being miserable and being sad. How does he get out of that rut? So he talks about that at 9 o'clock. So other than that, I just had to check in with you every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. I love to check in and talk with some of you guys. It really means the world that some of you guys listen to the show. And if you haven't listened to the show yet, you gotta listen. 7 o'clock at night, I like to have a good time, no matter where you're listening from. Simeona, what you got today, man?
Yeah, so just kind of looking online, people are talking about the Uber stance on congestion pricing, which has kind of spurred all this. And a lot of them are upset at Uber.
Why okay?
Their stance on it. And they say they won't use Uber anymore.
But hold on now. But everybody want to give Uber all these fines and make Uber pay all this money and cap the number of Uber rides that are out there. So it has to go both ways. Uber's looking out for Uber. It's a capitalistic world we live in. That's just what they're doing. So with that being said, Uber does a lot of great things, both in the community, all outside. And let's really be honest. Uber is like one of the best things that's happened to all of us. Like, I probably have taken more Ubers in the last month than I have cab rides my whole life. Y'all know the story about cab rides in New York. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't really picking us up too fast. Just funny. Maybe things have changed. But anyways, Uber, you can't be mad at Uber for something like this. I mean, I totally understand them getting behind it. I mean, and let's be real. Yes or no? The question is this. Oh, by the way, the people who I believe should not have to pay the $15 is those that do live downtown Seattle. So if you live downtown Seattle, you should be exempt from having to pay. You're free to go. You got your little pass. You're good to go pass, whatever the case that they might give you. But let's be real, y'all. There's a few things that we want to get better in downtown Seattle. And no matter what side of the agreement you're on, we do agree on this. Traffic and homelessness. We do want that better in downtown Seattle. So I think we can all agree on that. Anything else, buddy?
Yeah, some people are just still not on board with the idea of congestion pricing.
All right, well.
Gloria says no. She doesn't think there should be congestion pricing.
Okay, well, hey, somebody reached out to me on Twitter and said, no, I disagree with you, G. You want to know why he disagreed with me? He disagreed with me because he told me that roads were made for cars. Really? Roads were made for cars. Really? So what happened to the horses and the buggies? Well, remember? Before the cars. You know where I'm going with this. Hey, either way, we can all agree with this. We want traffic to be better downtown Seattle. It is a hot mess. And at the end of and so if you don't want to do congestion pricing, then what are you going to do? Because you know what? We as a society, we're greedy and we hate to be told what to do. That's really what our problem is. So for an example, if I told you right now, hey, you can only come to downtown Seattle 3 times in a month, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to go to Seattle 4 times in a month. Why? Because we don't like to be told what to do. So if you guys have any other suggestions, text me tonight on the show.
Yeah, Todd Sullivan, last thing here, he says, forget Uber, bike lanes everywhere. How about bikers paid for taxes on bike lanes?
Okay, fair. I mean, I'm not doubting that. I get where you're going with that. How about this? When you start, see, that's the thing. When you open up Pandora's box for people to start paying for roads, which we do pay for them one way or the other, whether it's tax money or this way as well, when you start doing that, you open it up for everyone. So I'm quite sure that at one point when Seattle is charging cars, I'm sure they might charge bikes, but that's what they're trying to push people out of their cars, because aren't we talking about global warming? We're talking about the emissions. The goal is to get people out of cars. Don't we care about the future in 40 to 50 years? I know, some of us don't. And you know what? To be honest, between you and I didn't really care about the future either until probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I started looking at my kids like, oh, yeah, I guess you guys will have to run this earth when we're all gone. So anyways, we done?
All good.
Hey, appreciate everybody for joining in. I'll talk to you next week, and I'll talk to you tonight at 7 p.m. on KIRO Radio, 97.3 FM. I'm out of here. KIRO Nights. G. Scott.